So yeah, running a little late tonight. Mistimed the dishwasher, so that was interesting. I figured that sound would carry and probably wouldn't hear me as well. Not as tired today. Had a very interesting day. Busy as can be, I mean, crazy busy. I did somewhere between 6 and 9 calls, and then also spent a couple hours with my kids with their school. Um, Spent some time with Sid, just hanging out and relaxing, giving her some Sid time. Because she's definitely in a better mood when she has some time to just me and her, um, giving her attention, just one on one. Um, Today was a good day, right? Like I was happy today. I was in a good mood all day. This morning was rough, right? Because I was getting a ton of messages, text messages, messages from everywhere. It was a lot of chaos going on. All three kids were crying, whining, hungry, this, that. I had calls, I had everything going on. So I was doing my best to juggle everything and almost fell into a trap, but didn't. Um, Almost went back to old habits, but didn't. So I'm proud of myself for that. Some days you just get caught, right? Some days, some moments, you just get overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, it just kind of smacks you around a little bit. When when you're in that overwhelmed state and you're feeling like you're getting smacked around a little and there's no time, there's no space, there's nothing, right? Um, Thanks to the tools that I've been learning and the practices I've been putting in place, I was able to not avoid, but deflect or just push away the chaos a little bit and be able to recenter myself even in the midst of it. Um, Now, it's not really a perfect process. It's not great. Uh, I mean, I literally just showered for the day because I completely forgot I didn't shower today. It was just that crazy of a day. I cleaned, obviously running the dishwasher, which is why I was a little bit late. Showering because I was a little bit late. But there's so much going on in a day right now, right? When you're a parent, single parent, parent in a marriage where one person's the primary breadwinner, whatever it may be, life is complicated right now, right? You have your kids at home, you have your kids going to school, you have to help them with school, right? You're supposed to be there. Thank you, Kenny. Um, yes, I agree with that 100%. Um, when you're the the primary caregiver, right? So let's put it that way, and you're also, a work from home person, whether you're in a relationship or not, it doesn't get easier. It doesn't make it easier. And plus, you're still dealing with yourself, right? Um, and since, I'm going through this process and I'm putting in this work and making these changes, it's a lot right now. It's just a lot going on. And there's nothing perfect about anything. But what is perfect is that I'm doing the best I can. I'm being my best self daily. I'm not falling into those traps, right, Kenny? Like, I'm just not, no matter what they are, no matter how much I want to, no matter how much I feel like I have a right to, I'm not. It's not worth it, right? I don't want to be the person I used to be. I don't want to. It's really dark tonight, isn't it? Or maybe my screen's just really dark. Can't tell. Hang on. Oh, my screen's really dark. Um, you know, Today I don't want to fall into those traps anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. And that is enormous for me. Wow, my contacts are really bad. Definitely should have taken them out tonight, or at least put drops in or something. Been in since I guess about 4:30. Gonna have to just start wearing my glasses, I guess, for these. But I'm not that person, right? Like it's only been a few weeks and I'm a different person. Um, you know, I would say about trying to think. So it's September now. Wow, it's September. I would say about 2.5 months ago, maybe 2 months and a week ago, I was the truest self that I think I've ever been in this life, right? I was so captured within my soul, and my soul was just shining through in everything I did. It overcompensated for the the personal neglect that I had for myself. Um, and as I started, yes, I definitely did, bud. Without a doubt, I did. Um, During that time period, my soul was the most awake it's ever been during this life. And once I started doing some of the work and I started making these commitments and I started making some of these changes, it kind of went backwards a little bit. And I think the reason was because I couldn't have my truest self shine through while at the same time working on my human tendencies, right? Or human habits, because it was just conflicting so much. At that time, though, it was the most surreal feeling in the world. I was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. And when I started doing the work, it all kind of disappeared quickly on me. And all my old habits started coming out, even though I didn't want them to. And I started seeing triggers of mine and I started feeling triggers of mine. And I started kind of just really regressing, right? Going backwards completely. And I don't think it definitely had to be when I started doing the work because it's the only thing I can think of at that period of time that kind of just flipped a switch on me. And I didn't realize that until just now, actually. Um, that was the truest I've ever been to myself. And it overcompensated for the human imperfections. Now, my goal is to complete my, not complete my work because it's never done, right? This is for the rest of my life, but get to a point with my work that my human tendencies and human qualities align with my soul and my heart and my mind, right? And I have this tremendous alignment to where, not that I'm a walking Buddha, but I'm still myself in every way, but I'm just at peace, right? And I'm living my best self. Now, yes, today I'm very proud of where I am. Today, I feel great. I feel healthier. I feel happier, um, for myself, right? As a human, as a human embodying an energy force. Um, but at the end of the day, that's what I yearn for, is to get back to the point where my soul just shines through in everything I do. And I think I'm starting to get there in a lot of ways. But I'm not close. I'm close, but I don't think I'm close enough yet, for me to really feel it. Um, but being on Stephen Desada's show last night showed me a lot, right? Like it was, and it's not that I haven't heard it before. It was the way that it was logically, analytically broken down for me that it resonated with my thought process on a human level. Um, on an emotional level, I've already accepted it. I've already seen it. I've already felt it. But when it comes to the thought process aligning and being able to accept that part of it, because of how my mind works, it's not easy for me to be able to align it all, right? And the only way that this is going to work is to align everything to the best of my ability. Because once I get to that point, then I will truly be my truest and best self. Um, and that is my goal, right? Is every day to make that incremental growth and incremental, um, baby steps. Because as I continue to evolve, my life is going to continue to change. Those people around me are going to continue to change. And I'll eventually be in a position that I'll be able to help those that I care about that are not where they want to be, right? It's it's a painful process, because sometimes you've got to let people, things, companies, projects, stuff go that you have this amazing emotional attachment to, or this amazing um, spiritual or soul passion tied to. But at the same time, it's a necessary evil to lose it so that you can regain it when the time is right. And I really believe that that has a lot to do with what Gary Vee says all the time, right? You have to have macro patience and micro aggression. Uh, and I think I'm finally understanding that better because, a couple of my businesses put on the back burner a little bit because of timing, circumstances, everything else. Um, Thank you, Kenny. I'm I'm getting there, buddy. I really am. I'm so much closer than I was when we first met, bud. And it's a process, right? So there's definitely been an enormous amount of improvement and an enormous amount of growth through this. Um, at the end of the day, it's these baby steps. It's these little increments of progress that add up, and they don't seem like much at the time. But when I started breaking it down into moments, and I started seeing the moments for what they were, everything changed. That's what I talked about last night, right? Those moments, those micro moments. And I had a lot of those today, good and bad, but a lot of good, right? Like, Sid came up to me because I was on call after call after call after call today. And she's like, Daddy, come lay down with me. And I did. And then 20 minutes in, Michelle came in and said, Daddy, can you help me with my work? I did, right? Or Dad, can you help me with work? Whatever she said. And then a half hour later, Thomas comes in and he's like, Dad, can you help me do some work? And that's like miraculous, right? Thomas wants to do work. There, you got to drop everything when Thomas wants to do work. Um, and lo and behold, he couldn't sign into the system. But that's okay because I set aside 2.5 hours to work with him tomorrow one on one. So, I mean, what I'm saying is you've got to, for me, I've got to really see those micro moments because though that's how I think the self-worth and the confidence come, right? By appreciating and accepting that our day is full of micro moments. Our day is full of seconds. Our day is full of minutes and hours, right? Time is a human created creation. So if we live on a time basis, we're really cutting ourselves short. But if we live in the moment and base it on moments, then we're seeing outside of time. And once we separate ourselves from time, it 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 evaporates our limitations. Um, and at that point, everything changes. It just shifts. Um, I think I think I'm getting something here, and I think I'm starting to see something, and it's a little unusual. I mean, I guess Kenny's my witness to this, right? As he is every night. As I go through these epiphany and aha moments on the fly, which is why I love doing these things, right? I'm so happy about doing these every night. Yes, a couple minutes late tonight, but that's fine. Um, I'm not that big on structure anyway, but I like the commitment, so I do it. Um, it it's starting to make a little bit more sense today, right? Like where I'm going, how I'm getting there, where, why I'm getting there, and what steps I'm taking to get there. Um, the process isn't perfect. It's definitely not um, synced with where I want to go, but it is synced with where I'm at today and where I'll be tomorrow. And I think if I can bridge those gaps with moments in between, then I'm doing the best I can every second of the day. And if I give myself that credit and I give myself that value, I'm going to call you Epiphany. That's awesome. I love that. You really should. That I should change my name on everything to Epiphany. It's one of my favorite words. That and adaptability, resilient as fuck. I like that too. RAF. I was thinking about adding that to my LinkedIn. Um, RAF, obviously. But I I feel today, I just feel very clear today. The clearest I think I've been in a very, very, very long time. And I see how I'm getting there. I don't 100% see where I'm going yet, but I definitely see how I'm getting there. And I'm appreciating how I'm doing it and the moments that I'm doing it within, right? And, there's so much tied to that. There's so much entangled within that it's, I'm getting tested constantly. I'm constantly getting tested with the same issues that have occurred my whole life because I haven't grown from them, right? And now that I'm growing from them, I'm getting tested in different ways. And it's kind of cool, right? Like, I mean, I'm learning something new. So it's kind of fun. It's it's starting to feel magical, this change. And I know it's still very early in the process, but after last night, I feel like I'm much closer to being there than I have been probably ever during this life. And that it's coming, right? It's coming soon and it's coming fast. And as long as I keep making those steps, those incremental steps, and I keep appreciating the moments that I have, then all the pieces fall in place. And at that point, it really is just baby steps and one foot in front of the other. And I can do that all day, right? One foot in front of the other and just keep going. I mean, I'm so resilient because I've been through so much and I've never given up. I've never walked away. I've never just quit and said, game over, I'm done. Yeah, I've taken breaks, I've taken pauses, but as a human, I think we do that sometimes, right? Like when I first started this process of getting my kids and everything, that first few months, I was really, I love it, Kenny. I was really out of it, right? And I was really depressed and I was really down. And again, a message came out of nowhere, and it was the night before I got my kids. And that was like a light bulb moment. That was another aha epiphany. And then a few months in, everything changed. And this impact that was put on me was eat the elephant one nibble at a time. That's awesome, Kenny. Um, when that happened, it woke up a part of me I've never felt before, right? I woke up years ago and I was awake for a while, and then left again. Um, but it's different this time. What happened to me this time woke up such a deep part of me that I'm never turning back. It 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 just lit me up, and it was the truest I've ever felt. It's what I want to be, right? It's where I want to get and how I want to feel. Um, and I know I'm on that path, and I'm excited about it. I like the work. I like what I'm doing. I like the time, the energy, the fact that I'm willing to do it, right? Um, I, I feel like very emotional right now, and I'm not even sure why. I guess. Uh, yeah, I know why, but that doesn't matter right this second. I mean, I'm letting it flow, but I'm not going to talk about it again. That time period shifted everything in my whole life. It changed everything, and it put me on this path that I just won't turn back from. And I'm happy to be on this journey. I'm happy to be where I am at today. I'm happy being stuck, right? I'm happy being stuck physically, not any other way, but physically. Um, I'm happy with and content knowing where I'm going. How I get there doesn't matter as much as I know where I'm going, and it's baby steps to get there. There's things in my life that don't make a lot of sense, and they never have. And most people wouldn't even believe them if I told them. But while all that's going on the surface, what's going on in my deepest part of my soul is makes so much sense. And pushing away to go where I need to go makes sense also. Pushing away to get where I need to be going is part of it also. And accepting that is an enormous part of it. It's the biggest piece of the puzzle, right? Accepting the things you don't want to accept and accepting the things that can utterly crush you is an enormous piece of this pie. And I think that there's many people in my life right now that are working behind the scenes in their own way to help me on this journey. And I know that sounds strange, right? But I feel like the magnitude of whatever I'm doing makes sense, and the magnitude of who I am and how I'll be and how I can help others makes sense. And the my empathy and empathic ways and intuition, and I don't think they're that wrong in many ways. I don't think that they're that off. I don't think that I'm as off as I think I am on the surface. I think in some way it's a cop out, because if I'm that off, then the pain doesn't hurt as bad. Or if I'm that off, then it's easier to accept things, right? Sometimes we tell ourselves what we want to hear so that we can just accept things better. And it's not that it's even logical, it's not that it even makes sense. But what we're doing is protecting ourselves to do what our next step is. And for the first time ever, I'm doing what's best for me right now. And it is a very strange, unorthodox way of doing things in many ways. You know, life is so magical when we allow it to be, and it's so powerful. One person can change the world by changing one other person. Because if you change that one person's world, they change another person's world, they change another person's world, then the impact has a ripple effect. It's not about changing a million people at once, a billion people at once, the whole world at once. Reaching one person can give you the power to reach everyone. And it really is synchronicity. There's a there's a fluid action to that, right? You know, it's funny when you're going through this, you talk to coaches, you talk to spiritual guides, you talk to everybody involved, right? And I'm just the type of person that needs 20 people around me to hear different things because I need to hear different perspectives. It works better with my crazy mind and the way my mind works. Not that it's crazy, but the way my mind operates better. Um, and to me, right now, those people are aligned. And if the people around me are aligned, then yes, Kenny, I agree with you, buddy. Then yes, I am working on that, and I'm definitely my best self today. So that's step one, and that's all I can be right now. Um, when those things synchronize and line up together, there's a reason, right? But the reality is, most of us never see it, because when we're not at a point that we're ready to see it, it just it just passes us by, right? And I think that's where regrets come from down the line, right? Like when you're whatever, when you're reaching your immortality, right? Whatever that is, um, that's when you look back and you have these regrets. But I feel like more of humanity can wake up at the same time now that more than ever. And it's also needed now more than ever because there's so many illusions and smoke and mirrors around the world. There's so many issues that are covering up other issues that are covering up other issues that are covering up other issues, right? So, and I think that we're at a pivotal time in life and in society. Um, if you look back at history, empires rise and fall. There's a common theme in all of them. And if you really look at the trends, you know, we're kind of getting closer to those trends. Um, humanity's losing the human part, and we're allowing ourselves to lose that. Uh, so what we need to do is find our humanity again. We need to unite as a human race. We need to really believe that that we are bigger than we are and that we can impact one person. So if one person can impact one person can impact one person, at that rate, it rapidly changes. It's amazing how fast that change can happen, right? Negative or positive. So I think I think there's a bigger picture at play here for everyone. I definitely feel like there's a bigger picture at play for me. Um, and I think that the group of people around me are there for a reason right now. And the people that I do trust within that group of people, um, they they have pure intent and they don't have selfish motives behind it. They don't have an ulterior motive. I'm not saying everybody does, but it's very hard to separate yourself from where you're at, where you want to be, how can you get there, and am I around people that will help me get there, and that I can also help get there at the same time, right? Now, some of that sounds selfish, some of that seems selfish, but the reality is, if you're lifting somebody else up, lift yourself up at the same time. If somebody's lifting you up, make sure they're lifting themselves up at the same time. And I think that's part of the human experience and part of our own responsibility within ourselves, that when we feel when someone's helping us and they are helping us be our best self, in return, it should be our personal responsibility to do the same for them. And we should want to, right? I mean, you got to follow what you want and what you believe. But I feel like it's almost a responsibility as a human being that when somebody is helping us and lifting us up, in return, we should be doing the same for them. I do think that that's not always the case. I think people have the best intent, but I think people also get caught up in their own lives at times, their own chaos, right? Everybody has chaos. The world is in chaos, and we all feel chaos. Ooh, excuse me. Getting tired. Excuse me. Um, the world's in chaos, right? And if you're an empath to any level, you're gonna really feel it right now. Like the world is gonna crush around you, and I agree with you, Kenny. Not everyone is that way, my friend, but uh, I think as humanity evolves, oh, there you are. I missed one, Kenny. I think as humanity evolves, we're gonna see paradigm shifts. We're gonna see people start being their true selves, their best selves, and feel better about being their best selves. We're going to start seeing people that go out of their way for others and do it on a regular basis. And then in return, what's going to happen is somebody else is going to do it for that person, right? I don't think it always has to be the same person, but I also think that since we're all one energy force, right, tied at the center, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your faith belief is, it all stems from a God of some sort, unless you're agnostic or atheist. Um, but even then, right, like there's something, and well, maybe not. I guess atheists don't believe in anything, but still. Um, but I think there's something bigger at play, and I feel like there's a lot more moving pieces than expected. Not enough of them, sir. Now I'm keeping it real. Oh, yeah, I agree with you, but I also think that there's a global evolution going on right now with personal transformations. And I think as this continues to grow, it's going to be more accepted for people to evolve and transform, whatever you want to call it, right? Because if everybody's helping one person and there's these big coaches out there and they're helping 10, 20, 30 people at a time, whatever it is, I mean, if you do that multiplication and you start adding those numbers up, eventually it's going to reach the population. When it reaches a population, even if it's, let's say, 25% acceptance rate, you're still talking about a lot of people. And I think when it gets to that point, then society itself changes, and that's a tipping point. The problem is we're all constrained within these systemic um, pressures and overwhelmed circumstances because our value systems are off, right? Our beliefs are off. We definitely value the wrong things in society as a whole. Not everyone, but as a whole, right? And I feel like COVID's been a good learning experience for a lot of people. You was, I got to put this one up, Kenny. Yes, there will still be a-holes. But if there's a lot more good people, then it kind of tips the scale, right? Because right now you just have good people that are trapped within themselves. If these people start waking up and it gets to the point that there's enough of them around the world, it will overshadow the a-holes, right? And I do think that there's a good possibility for that. I think there's many ways for this to happen. There's many great people out there that are doing this. And I think that those voices just need to be amplified. And then they also need to create a following. And then they also need to create people that can replicate what they've done. And I think we have a shot, right? Now, I'm a perpetual optimist, and I always want to see the best in people, society, humanity. I always see the best in people, and I get burned quite often for it, by the way. But that's okay too, right? Because I've been known to give people multiple chances, and I've been burned multiple times by the same people. Some people are worth it. There's a notification. I guess I didn't turn my ringer off. Um, well, I'm also running over on time. But I had a lot to say tonight, and I wanted to get it out. And today was really a day of clarity for me, and I feel very inspired by myself today. And I think self inspiration is very important. Self validation is important. Self confidence. And that's something I'm really working hard on, right? And appreciating myself. Those are big steps for me because it's not something I normally do or used to do. How about that? I like that idea better. Not normally. I like used to. Um, because I'm not doing it anymore. Kenny, 3 strikes you're out. Uh, yeah, I get it. Um, Depends on the person. Sometimes you get more than 3 strikes, but it changes, right? Because as dynamics change, as relationships change, as I think those things change, the level of the strikes change, right? Because you keep pushing people away at a certain level. And while you're pushing them away, as you go through a transformation, as you go through a change, you realize that those strike two, strike three weren't as big of a deal anymore, right? Strike one hurt. No. I love it, Kenny. You have a hard line, buddy, and I appreciate that. I really do, and I respect it. Um, maybe I'll get there, right? Maybe. Oh, uh, maybe I'll get there with those hard boundaries. I'm not there yet. Sometimes I wish I was, but I'm not there yet. But I don't think that's who I'll be, right? I'm always seeing the best in people, and I'm always going to give people chances to be their best self. Just because they overlap in a very constrained time window, I don't know if that counts as three strikes or one strike, but whatever it is, things shift and change. So you just got to kind of roll with that. You know, I really appreciate you, Kenny, just like I told you earlier today. And thank you so much for always being here to support me. Having you here helps me to be me, right? It gives me something to bounce off of, I guess. I'm great at talking, but I kind of. I guess it also depends on the severity, right? Because I've given people one strike and they've been out, so, or even no strikes, depending on what their intentions are. But I don't know. I just had a lot to say tonight. Everybody have an amazing night. Kenny, thank you as always, my friend. And we will chat soon. I will be back tomorrow night. And tomorrow night will be cut probably a little bit short because I have a call at 10 tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, actually. So, everybody have a good night and we'll catch up soon. Thanks.